5G is here. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear Leak Project. This is just going to be a really fast update. On my way to Utah, driving through New Mexico a few days ago, in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, mind you, look what I found. Oh, yeah. We just look at it. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, 5G. It's here. Check it out. Generation 5. Get yours today. So it isn't when, it's now. It's here, even in rural New Mexico, in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. This isn't far from. Do you guys remember the first time I did a podcast showing you the video of that huge cell phone tower? Who knows what else they put on it? That giant tower disguised as a pine tree in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. Well, the closest town to that tower is this one. So, very interesting nonetheless. I don't think that they're affiliated or connected, to say the least, because the 5G system they want to put in multiple city blocks, depending on which version of 5G this HughesNet is. Now, once again, I want to remind you that Generation 5 is different from the 5 gigahertz router that you probably have at your house. They're two different things. Gen 5 is Generation 5 communications for cell phones, downloads, information, and they're using different bands in the Generation 5. The telecommunications companies are talking about different types of 5G they want to implement. One of them is running on 800 megahertz, which is what a lot of these systems are running on now, 800 megahertz, the 4G, the 3G. The Generation 5 is also going to be using a 28 gigahertz band. At least there has been space sold to telecommunications giants for this 28 gigahertz band. Now remember, 28 gigahertz, that's 28 billion hertz. A healthy human body should be around 60 to 70 hertz. So times that by about, 500,000? Yeah, multiply that by 500,000, and there's your fast download speeds. So the question next would be, I have heard down the pipeline, and I have done some research, and I remember reading about how the powers that be are considering selling specific bands in the 200 to 300 gigahertz range. Now, if they're going to bring in fifth generation communications running at 200 to 300 gigahertz, I think that is beyond insane, in my opinion. I think 28 gigahertz is bad enough. 800 megahertz is bad enough, depending on the microteslas or per square meter or the units, the actual dosage. I mean, my goodness, folks, do yourselves a favor, and so you can see for yourselves, pick yourself up something like this. It's about $300. This will test the radiation levels, EMF levels up to 9 gigahertz, okay? Then turn it on, get your cell phone, put it next to your cell phone. Don't even have your cell phone on. And just kind of see what the levels are going to be at. See what it's pinging at. Now, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and this thing's trying to pick up a signal, this thing is going to be going nuts. If you're in an area that's not even that far off, depending on how it's pinging, it could be going nuts. So even if you're not talking on your phone and it's in your pocket and it's not on airplane mode, it's pinging cell towers. I put this thing on airplane mode whenever I'm not talking on it, if it's in my car, if it's in my pocket, whatever. Now, if you're using a wired headset, that might be a good option for you. If you're talking on the phone a lot, some people have talked about Bluetooth. There's mixed reports on Bluetooth depending on which device you use. So, that's what I do. I'm not telling you what to do by any means. You can do whatever you want to do. This is just something to consider if you are somebody that's constantly on the phone, if you are somebody that's even concerned about this. And now, you can't even escape 5G if you're in the middle of nowhere. So what do you think about the National Security Plan, the National Strategic Plan, where the implementation of 5G is a part of that? And the government wants to have a system designed specifically like a one system for 5G, and then the telecommunications giants can just rent and lease from that system that's created. And they want to do that for national security purposes, obviously, to be able to keep up with countries like China and others that are going full autonomous, that have CCTVs everywhere now, just about, and have social credit scores for people, not just your credit score, but your social credit score. Could you imagine being in China? There was that one guy that said something about a judge 12 years ago, and that judge said, "Oh, okay, now you're social credit." Now this is in China, mind you. That person wasn't even able to get on it. Like they got kicked off a bus, and they can't buy plane tickets now. So, and you heard about the new rules in EU, the net rules in EU. Oh my goodness, talk about Orwellian nightmare, ladies and gentlemen. It is getting incredibly controlling right now. They are clamping down. The powers that be are saying, look, if we don't do something, if we don't stop this information, then people are going to know way too much. And thank goodness there's as many people that are watching the Leak Project, because many of you school me on a regular basis. So this is like the university of awesomeness, of expanding the minds, expanding the consciousness, expanding our spirits, our bodies becoming stronger mentally, physically, spiritually, and being the change that we want to see. I talked to my dad today. Man, great conversation. My dad is such a noble man. And, we don't agree politically, but certainly when it comes to many topics like the medical mafia industrial complex, we have a lot of agreements on. And he was telling me about his friends that are getting ready to retire, and they're making $90,000 a year, and they can barely pay their bills because they've got $5,000 a month that they have to pay in just health care, just for their insurance. If that doesn't create red flags for anybody, just think about that for a minute. What is wrong with this picture? And the medical mafia industrial complex, all they want to do is give you band-aids. They don't want to give you anything that'll heal you. They just want to give you stuff that'll keep you on their drugs. Now, once again, folks, this is my opinion, and I'm just a conspiracy theorist. But if you ever talk to a doctor and said, like, I have some dear friends that have gone to doctors before, and their doctors have said, oh, there's no way that you can be cured from that, but we can give you a drug that will help facilitate your pain and that will help you with the symptoms. But they never want to talk about healing people, or virtually never, almost never. If healthcare was really healthcare, they would offer solutions of how to heal you. Health, healing, not how to suppress you and keep you on their pharmaceuticals. And he said to me, my dad said to me, he said, after he was talking about it, he said, what do you do? He said, you either do something about it or you just deal with it. And I thought to myself, you're right, Dad. You either don't do anything about it, you let them control you, you let them manipulate you, you let them suppress you, you let them chemically induce you while you're paying for it, for a Band-Aid, or you can do something about it. You still have an option, ladies and gentlemen, to be free. You still have an option to think for yourselves. You still have an option to be you. And what are you going to do about it? I would say be kind. I would say help others, and information is, in my opinion, the best thing you can do to help people at least make a decision for themselves. Information is key. Information is power. The right information is immortal. The right information is immovable, immeasurable, infinite. Be excellent to each other. Be the change you want to see.